Hey everybody, Coach Powers taking another question from the comments. This one asks, is a rapid taper dangerous? Is a rapid taper dangerous? Or another way of asking this, we can include this in here as well, are cold turkeys dangerous? In other words, these people are asking, how screwed am I, Coach? I was rapidly tapered or I was cold turkeyed. Let's frame it that way. Well, as I say, a lot of variables are very important here. Things outside just the taper, but okay. That said, I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record to a lot of you. Yes, rapid tapers are not desirable and they can be dangerous. In fact, benzos are a very dangerous drug. One of the few drugs that a cold turkey or rapid taper can actually kill you. You can, have a fatal seizure, for example. However, that's usually on really high doses of benzos and, cold turkeyed after lots of years of dependence. And it's very, very rare. I mean, I think I can count on one hand, after working with thousands of people, the amount of people that I've seen that had seizures. I mean, it's very, very rare. It really is. And those people are usually people that were cold turkeyed on their own, meaning they didn't follow a protocol, did something kind of, well, I guess I would say stupid for me, but really I was following a doctor's orders. He told me to drop 20 milligrams of benzos overnight. But even then I didn't have a seizure. You would think I dropped 20 to 30 milligrams roughly. I was in between up and again another 10 milligrams of Valium, from 40 to 50. I dropped down to 20, so 20 to 30 milligram drop there, and I didn't have any seizures or anything. So I think there's a lot of fear and it's a little bit overblown in the community here about, how dangerous like the risk of seizure is. Now, that's not the bigger threat, but, a rapid taper can really set you up to be locked in fight or flight. And that's what I see a lot. A lot. People tapered so fast, and some of them weren't even in that bad a situation prior to the taper, but they tapered so fast or were cold turkeyed, and it was such a heavy punch to the limbic system that their fight or flight literally just slid into a chronic locked full state of fight or flight response. And it just was like pumping them full of cortisol and norepinephrine, and they stopped sleeping, and they were having a host of insane, profound symptoms. Because remember, the severity of withdrawal symptoms are largely dependent upon that limbic system. That's why you guys hear me talk about this nonstop. I'm going to keep talking about this part of the brain because it is very important. How do you know this, Coach? Well, because I've seen those people learn how to calm themselves, calm that part of their brain, and suddenly 50% of their symptoms diminish. I've seen 85% of their symptoms diminish during this, by lowering their limbic system response. Right? So if it's all just receptors, then you don't have that. Guys, you can't have that. No, it's receptors, it's withdrawal, and what that brings. And part of those symptoms of withdrawal, all the things we're talking about, insomnia, all of this, is coming from a sped up limbic system, a fight or flight center that's in overdrive. It's not like the wire got burnt, from A to B in your brain, and that now you're not sleeping. And maybe some of us think that's how neurology works. It doesn't. It's not how it works. It has a lot to do with that fight or flight. That's what GABA is. GABA is the governor, the tranquilizer of this part of the brain. And as you come off of it and things are trying to work itself out and the brain is swinging and yo-yoing, of course, things are going to get really, really tough. And in that toughness is where things could then manifest. And suddenly what was, psych med induced sleep disturbances become full-blown insomnia, which is the fear of not sleeping. And that can stick around years after you're off benzos, after you're 100% healed. It doesn't matter. It becomes its own circular problem, as does health anxieties, as does OCD, as does somatic symptoms, as does panic disorder, as does agoraphobia and food phobias and all phobias, right? So, yes, a rapid taper is not desirable. I would never recommend it. Rarely recommend it. There maybe are some cases where it would be beneficial. But listen, if if the takeaway here is this, it probably is not wise to choose it for yourself, but then everyone's different. And look, if you can taper off, your benzo in a matter of weeks or months, and it's not that bad, then why would you want to stretch it out for months or years, right? So you could dodge a bullet that way. You might be one of the lucky ones, not even the lucky ones. The majority can taper off a benzo pretty quick, guys. I know it's not common in the benzo community. We live in a bubble, and we tend to see things in the benzo world as, from a distorted lens, but there are millions and millions of people worldwide that will taper off rapidly, cold turkey. I mean, probably countless today as we speak doing it from across the world, across the globe, and they'll be fine. I mean, fine in the sense that they'll experience normal, withdrawal, which sucks, right? It does suck. But this is true even with alcohol. I mean, it was always shocked me, and I've known these people. Who drank 10, 15, 20 years, hard drinkers, and then they just quit one day. And I go, on paper, I wouldn't have thought that worked that way. I would have thought, oh boy, you're going to need meds, you're going to need AA, you're going to go through a profound withdrawal and all, and then I watch they don't. I go, wow, how the hell does that work? They didn't go through it. Lots of people quit drinking and they don't go through, it's the other predictor there is mental illness, guys. Mental illness is the other thing. And it's the one thing on the table that we all just seem to like. It's like the elephant in the room. We all just sort of ignore that. We talk about benzos and histamines and foods and this and that. And then you mention mental illness and you just get you get mean looks, snarls from people. And I get it because, there's a lot of gaslighting that's gone on, and people, they even think they're smelling a hint of gaslighting, and they're going to get triggered, and they're going to hang you up to dry. But mental illness is a pretty damn big piece of this stuff, right? So is a rapid taper dangerous? Yeah, I think it is dangerous. But if you have been cold turkeyed, rapidly tapered, you are not like a lost cause. Believe me, I've seen just as many people who have healed from a cold turkey or a rapid taper as I have seen those that dragged it out for 3 to 5 years. In fact, I would argue dragging your taper out too long, there's a higher risk. Now, if you are one of these people that have drug your taper out that long, I'm not saying you are going to be bad. No. I mean, if you're having a good quality of life and you're managing and you're tapering, I think that's great. I think that's how we all should have done it. If you think about it, before it became a problem, if we could have just gradually reduced our dose over time and kind of lived our life, that would have been great. And I've seen people that did that and they were wildly successful. It's the fixation on it a lot of times, guys, that really gets us, that obsessive, fear-driven fixation. And if you're in a place where you're just in such terrible shape, and maybe you have no choice but to do a micro taper, okay, but anyway, I don't want to get onto a whole nother topic here, but there is a danger going too fast. There's a danger going too slow, right? But regardless, if you went too slow or too fast, there is a hell of a lot of hope here, and you will heal. And there's a lot you can do to engage your recovery and really help expedite this process.